Trea Turner, he went from being a highly desired prospect to possibly a delayed status to get to the big leagues to potentially the greatest player of all time in the game. He is offering positional versatility. He's a real, true, genuine 30-30 threat. His nickname should be the philanthropist because he's contributing to every category. I'm just curious, are we overreacting or is this the coolest kid in the room and we should all be targeting him everywhere we go? Because he's currently being drafted as the 13th player off the board according to NFBC ADP data. So I know you love him. I don't know if you love him as much as Benintendi, but why should we or should we not be all in with Trea Turner?
Well, he was ranked ahead of Benintendi in midseason last year. I had Bregman 1, I had Glasnow 2, and I actually had Turner 3, and people were killing me for it. But I said right off the bat, this guy is a dynamic offensive force at the top of the lineup. This is a Jacoby Ellsbury type player in his prime, whatever you want to say. I don't think that the power that we saw last year is what he's going to be. I don't think he's going to be a guy that has, a mid-5 slugging percentage. I think he's somebody that probably will hit about 16 to 20 homers in his average seasons. I don't know if about 30 homer type of stuff. He's a speedster. He's a leadoff hitter. He's going to get on base. He probably is going to walk more than he did last year. I don't know if he's going to hit 340 or whatever it was. It was 343. I just looked it up. I think he's probably more like a 290 hitter. I could see 90 to 100 runs almost every single season. He's going to be a run-producing player. I think speed is really, what his biggest asset is, what his greatest tool is. And he's got some pop to go with it, too. I mean, he hits the ball really, really hard. You can look at his batted ball data. I won't go through that right now. But he is a guy that makes great contact. But he's a guy that's going to steal 40 bases. And I think he's always going to be able to get on base, hit for a high average and score a lot of runs. But the question with Turner is really, is he going to hit 30 homers? I mean, he hit 13 and just a truncated season last year was 73 games that he was up. And I was killing myself because I had him on so many different redraft teams and I kept on holding him, waiting for him to get called up. He gets called up for that one game. He goes 3 for 3 with 3 runs scored and then goes back down again to Syracuse. And he was just kind of waiting there while they had Danny Espinosa. And even Espinosa, when he had that one great month in July when they actually ended up calling Turner up, I mean, his OPS was still 7-something after, 3 months of being completely awful. And he slugged, his OPS was 1,100 in that month. Turner is the goods. He's going to be the second best, offensive player in that team. Do I think he's a power hitter? No, I don't think he's going to hit 30 home runs. But like I said, I think, a 290 average, 90 to 100 runs, somewhere with 16 to 20 homers and, maybe, 60s in terms of RBIs and potentially 40 steals or more. He's got great speed. And the best part about him, he's going to have second base, outfield, and shortstop eligibility. They shipped Espinosa out of town. He's penciled in as your everyday shortstop.
Yeah, and the last part is what you really, I think, adds to his value, why he's going as high as 13th. If he's just a shortstop, I see him falling back a few places. I mean, obviously everybody wants him. The hype is real. He is a good player, as you mentioned. But is he really going to be any better than any of the other boatload of young shortstops in the game? No, they're in the same level. And, you can wait on a guy. But when you get second base eligibility, outfield eligibility, and shortstop eligibility, all of a sudden that's a skill set nobody else is offering you in fantasy this season to be able to put up the stat line he can. So I don't know if 13 is even high enough for him. I think I'd be willing to reach for him right outside of the top 5. I mean, he's in that category for me. If in fact you believe he is the goods and he is the real deal, I think I think he's proven himself enough at this point. And if you trust Ralph at all, then as he said, he's definitely the goods. So Trea Turner, if you were curious, worried, on the fence, you got 2 guys here that are definitely buying and believing him. And if that sticks, if that nickname I've given him now, the philanthropist sticks, I want some credit. Maybe we'll have to get some T-shirts made up for him or something like that. We'll see if we can get his agent on the line. But,
we'll just have we'll have a roto stat line and just have him dropping coins in there,
yes,
dropping dimes on everybody. Yeah, and the thing I like about a guy like him too, I just want to make one more point on Turner, is a player like that, his peak skill set when he's got his most value is when he's young and he's still athletic and he's still quick. He hasn't lost his speed. The bumps and bruises and nicks of playing the game every day haven't really gotten to him yet. So I think this guy, this year and for the next 2 or 3 years, that's probably when he's going to have his peak value. He's the kind of player that, the drop off could be relatively steep a few years down the road. So you do want to own him now. This is definitely the time to get in on Trea Turner.